Hello and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah McIntyre. And today I am joined by the beautiful Jannine Toon, who has agreed to come in and share with us a little bit of her story and her work with spirit. Thank you, Jannine, for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't
I'm really
wait.
Oh no, I'm really excited. And I just need to shout out to the Kent Massive because we're we're both in Kent, shining that light in the little corner of England. So Jannine, can you just start by telling us a little bit about you and what you do?
Okay, so I'm a psychic medium, but I'm also a healer. I think we encompass a lot of different parts of ourselves, also being a medium as well. So yeah, I cover tick a lot of boxes. I'm a teacher too. I love to teach spiritual development, helping people look at underlying blocks or reasons why they can't open up. Because for a lot of us at the beginning of our journeys, we feel very much like, I just can't wait to learn. I can't wait to get stuck in. And then often spirits show us so many signs and synchronicities to help our progress. And then it feels like it's all gone quiet on the Western Front. You know what I mean? And then nothing much is happening. But there's a quote, if you could help me to remember this, it's like, when the teacher is ready, the student...
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Student is ready, the teacher disappears. So it's almost like spirit's way of like, right, you can do this. You get to find out now a little bit on your own, but they never leave us. So I really do like the fact of helping people with that next part of their journey to really get on board with how spirit communication works and how to understand. But I do one-to-one readings very regularly every week. I can't remember the last time I had a break actually from doing one-to-one every week. This will be every week I'm doing them, and I know people are very guided to me and to work with me and regular clients as well that I have to help them also develop but understand their own connection with their loved ones in spirit.
Oh, amazing. So you do demonstrate mediumship, you do one-to-ones, you've got so much going on. So how long have you been working with spirit for?
Well, I mean, I would say when I first opened up was when I was a teenager, when I was younger, to spirit because of certain experiences and things that I went through. But I would say professionally, probably for the last 15 to 16 years, even though, because I was a makeup artist on counters for many years, and I would always get like, their dad's standing beside them, or I've got their auntie here with me. So I had to be very careful. I even knew then I didn't want to like trigger people, but if they would talk or open up, I would definitely give mini readings way back then when I worked on the makeup counters and everything. But yeah, since I was younger, it was about 12 or 13. I went through quite a lot of bullying at school, also a massive thing with my parents divorcing, and quite a lot, they were going through their own stuff, and there was quite a lot of neglect, and I felt very lost at that time in my life. And I know that spirit were very much there and present and guiding me. And it's not to say, I was special in any way, because people go through so many hardships and things like that. It was because I already had the skills to work with them, perhaps carried from a past life. But it's almost like I knew that they were trying to show, I had my, my great grandmother Rose come through, and I had no knowledge of her whatsoever. But she, and I would tell my dad, look, I've got this, there were points in my life when my dad left and then my mum left. And so it was a very up and down childhood, as well as being really bullied and physically bullied. But I remember her sitting on the edge of my bed, and I was like, well, she was saying to me, and a few different spirits, also my higher self would come in at times to help me, my future self, sorry. Be like, well, don't go into school today, like go this route home so you don't get don't get the bullied or the picked on or the physical abuse that I used to have happen. So it was very much like I felt so guided and protected by them, more than I did from anyone else, any teacher, anyone else that wasn't there at the time. So yes, unfortunately, not everybody's path is based on love and light. Sometimes we have to be cracked open, but in order to work with spirit. So I was incredibly grateful to them at that time in my life, because without them, I don't know how I would have got through it. But they would show me a lot of times in dreams where I would know what was going to happen in my future. So that's why, a lot of psychics or mediums say, well, we don't talk about the future, because it is based on free will. But But for me to know that about my future, to know what was going to happen with me creating my own family, and to have know that I would work as a medium, because I was also told it in readings too. And I just, it makes you kind of know. You have that kind of inner knowing of like, yeah, I know that's my path. And I needed that at that time. So I'm incredibly grateful to Spirit for getting me through very tough times. And they've always had my back. And I think for so many of us, the wounds do crack us open, and we don't get sometimes the earthly support, we definitely get it from Spirit. But then it's almost like a double-edged sword, that then we have to find the support back from the earth plane. Does that make sense? Because it's almost like, let's not, because Spirit will work with us to help us heal, but you can't always get it from us. You've got to find your tribe. You've got to find people. And I know that through my readings as well, where it's very much like attracts like sometimes, where I'm talking about, or obviously similarities come through, which is part of the path as well.
I love it. I love it. So you are now using all of those terrible experiences that you had to be able to help others and help yourself, which I think is a really valuable thing. You can heal. And I love what you're saying there about on the earth plane. You have to take some responsibility. We can't be off floating on the ether as much as we'd like to.
I'm a Pisces moon, you see. I would be floating upstairs left, right and centre if you let me. That's what Spirit. I feel like sometimes we feel Spirit pull away from us, or they're not as, present. They're always around us, absolutely. But it's almost like, no, that's your time to heal. That's your time to look at stuff. It's your time. We'll guide you. Ask us for support, a sign, we're there for you. They never leave us. But there is a feeling of like, well, we want you to choose. We want you to have, you've got free will for a reason. Use it, kind of thing. So it's like finding that. I wouldn't have that inner determination to keep going, or with some of the challenges I've faced. That comes from me. That doesn't, Spirit, proud that I have that, but that comes from me, from my soul, from my spirit.
Love that. Love that. So was there sort of one moment where you just realized you had mediumistic abilities and you were communicating, or was it just always there, or a gentle build? How did it?
It was always there, but only from when the bullying happened. So it was like that because literally the whole school was against me. It was quite weird, actually, and I found that throughout my journey and my path, the light and the dark, the contradictions and the up and the down. So it's almost like, yes, from the 12, 13, I felt I could hear Spirit, I could see them. There's a lot of stories from that time about working with them in my dream state as well. So I knew that I had this team, or this presence around me that was helping me do this. I wasn't on my own, and that really kind of reinforced my belief. So from then on, it never went away. It was almost like when I had my children, it was like, well, now Spirit go, come on now. Now it's time to do what we said to you. So I was like, I don't know. I'm still a bit unsure, even though I'd done so much already to open up to them. And obviously the dream state would come in massively, showing me past loved ones. But, I feel like I work a lot astrally. I am out of my body quite a lot. Helping people. I know a lot of my clients say they have, I come in their dreams and stuff like that and give them guidance and things like that. So I know I work a lot astrally, and I always have. But I really had to form the base, the discipline, the groundedness, or find that within this work. And I couldn't have done it, I'm 48 now. So I couldn't have done that any younger. I had to go through the life journey with what happened in my life, and clearing a lot of karmic stuff as well, a lot of karmic relationships and energy that I know now that I can't change, which we always feel we can change certain circumstances. It's about forgiveness and gratitude. So it's been a journey, but I've never felt that I've always had the ability, but it was about, I'm into puberty, 12 to 13 for me, and it was best for me to be able to understand Spirit in the way that I did.
And, you talk about working astrally and on the astral plane and stuff like that. Do you think that is so available to you because you needed an escape from the reality of the earth? Because that sounds horrendous, what you went through.
100%. You couldn't put it better, because I felt very abandoned and very alone, and still carry a parent wound to a certain extent, although we've done a lot of work with it in Spirit. Spirit again, you've done a lot of work on that. Yes, I have. and not carrying that pattern forward with my own children, very much so. So it is like, I do feel like absolute escapism, absolutely wanting to not sort of sometimes be here and rather be in spirit. But that's why spirit, like when I'm reading for clients and when I know they've lost somebody, you know, it is a privilege to be here and be on earth, you know, and it's like, I'm grateful for everything, but and also grateful for their support. But it's almost like I'm really glad that I was able to build a connection with them that also kept me grounded. So I work a lot on my grounding, you know, Pisces moon, so I'm always up there half the time. But I do have to really take time, and that's why I have to switch off. I really do have to take time to not be open. And you know, but for so many years I was, and I can realize now how drained it made me feel. But as you get older, you don't have as much energy as you do when you're young. So you do have to sort of button and go, hey, no, not happening today. We are not working, we're relaxing. But sometimes they're telling me off here, because it's almost like I want to be open sometimes, but my battery just won't allow it. So it's a good mechanism to help me to ground and be present on earth, because we're so privileged and lucky to be on this earth plane for the opportunities and the expansion that it offers us.
Agreed. But we are here to be on the earth plane and not just tripping the light fantastic, which is the bit, because we'd have stayed in spirit if we just wanted to be doing that. Yeah, for sure. So how do you ground? What grounding practices do you use for yourself to ground?
I mean, it changes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's never a one size fits all. Cooking, oh my God, I love to cook. You know, peeling the potatoes, you know, earthy vegetables, give me a many day. Do you know what I mean? That's clearing a teenager's bedroom when they won't do it themselves. you know,
that is grounding.
Grounded. But that's why I really do teach that it is about linking the two, that you can be with spirit and do that. And sometimes in those moments where you're not doing like your mind isn't open to spirit, they do give us downloads or come through with the next bit of guidance when we're not so focused on it, when we're not asking or so hung up on the next bit of what we must do or what we need. It's almost like, no, we'll give it to you in those moments where your mind's completely not even focused on it, because it is a mind connection with spirit, and it is about us sort of letting them kind of come in and sort of take over in a way. We're still ourselves. That's why grounding is so important, because it's letting them come through, but still remaining who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So when you're working with spirit, do you work with all the clairs? Is there one particular one that's strongest for you? How do you experience spirit?
Well, I've got a story about that, actually, because
good.
When I've been working with them, because it's a full sensory thing. It's like, it's not just one. But I remember for a time, and this is probably the early days, and I was really relying a lot on clairvoyance of the pictures and stuff like that. Whereas back in the day when I was younger, they would talk to me. But a part of me, it wasn't through fear, but maybe a recollection of that time with trauma, that I've kind of closed my ears a little bit to them, and I couldn't hear them as much as I used to. So during readings or working with people, I was still getting messages. I really feel spirit, and I feel connected. Obviously, working with spirit is like a triangle. It's you, it's them, your client, and then it's spirit energy. So it's very much like I feel what my client feels sometimes, and I do allow spirit to work with me in that way, so I can channel. Not as I've learned to have a little bit more discipline with that than I used to, but I know that they sort of blind. It's like the card. What is the card? Two of Swords, the eight of Swords, isn't it? When they blindfold you and like you cannot see, you will. Yeah. You will let us come through from the hearing, and I won't say it's always full sentences. But I can definitely, when I relate to a spirit and I can feel their energy and I let them close, because I feel sometimes we're kind of guarded with wanting, even a lot of us now are a bit worried about seeing spirit in their full form. We think we're open to it, but there are certain things that shut us down. But then it's almost like, yes, I will let you close enough to talk to me. I will let you, because I can feel your energy. I can feel the client's energy. I'm very clairsentient as well. So I feel like it puts us all in a box. If we've got it all, we can have it all.
Agreed. Yeah.
can have it all, but how much do you want it? How much do you want it? If you want to be that open, and if you know the spirit energy that's moving towards you, then, and you trust, you can feel I've got a level of connection with you. But sometimes we will, when we don't have a spirit energy that's we have that much empathy or connection with, we can get some limited information. But if you want to let that spirit closer to you and you can trust it and you can feel your guide is saying yes, then you can let them come more into your energy and you can hear them. But I will hear odd words. I will hear odd sentences. I do love working with people who are quite fun in the spirit, who add a sense of humour, who like to enjoy working with me. But then I also get, kind of like the sorries and apologies sometimes. And I know that I'm kind of wary a little bit about always bringing that through, because I know that, but I know healing occurs as well when that sit with somebody or let them, because when we do go to spirit, we do see our life review and we do look at things differently. And for me, I really see that I have a lot of clients who lose, it seems to be a bit of a theme. I think every one of us, because we're meant to be individual, but then as we find our purpose and more what we're aligned to do, the more we do it. Does that make sense? It's almost like I work a lot now with people who've just lost somebody or in the first year of losing a loved one. And I often feel that spirit are a bit more earthbound. They haven't sort of, I wouldn't say they get their wings to heaven. They're absolutely walking between two worlds sometimes. But it's almost like their earthly stuff. And when they do their life review, I feel like my reading or the messages can help both communicator and them and spirit and my client. So it really helps to kind of bring that healing energy to do with their passing or to do with that. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say it's like a grief spiritual medium, but that seems to be has been a bit of my work, definitely since COVID in the last 3 years, I would say.
Amazing. So just for anyone who doesn't know, what is a life review?
Okay, so with the life review, what I see it to be, it's like a television screen, and almost like there's a book that they were like sort of going on about that talked about. It's called The Soul's Gift. Have you heard of it? It's by Robert Lemenkes or something, and I know it's an American author. But even before that, I read the book, but even before that, and maybe that's why it came more into my awareness. But it's almost like an evaluation of what you did really good and the things you could have changed. It's never done with harshness, though. It's never done with, it's almost like a way of getting you to see what the other person went through. And if you're really empathic and if you're very sensitive, then you're already doing the life review as you're living, you're already living it. So, but sometimes it's almost like, and your guides are there with you and they're kind of going, well, can you see that you look to that different? I almost see it like done in a church kind of environment. It's done in like a healing palace or a healing place. This life review takes place. It's done very lovingly. It's never with judgment, but it's almost like when spirit forgive themselves or go through this process where they look at their life differently, it has this kind of thread or cord towards those family members or friends or things like that, where they often think of that time or pick up on it or go through the motions. I see that we're so intrinsically tied to people that, in a good way, I know it can feel like we've got to cut cords with the negative a lot, but when we heal, they heal. We don't just go to spirit and then we're instantly healed and better. Although we do, because I've seen my nan in spirit hospital, you see, when she had Parkinson's and dementia, and she had to go through healing in spirit to be able then to communicate with me. I know that she came in the last few days actually, and I know as we're coming up to Mother's Day, to have the mother wound or to go through anything that has hurt you with mums or loss of mother or loss of nan, I also work with clients on that way. But it's a really feel, and I often feel like that cracks us open to spirit as well. But it's often to me that with the life review, they get to see what they did right and wrong. And it's not judged like that. It really is no judgment. It's just a feeling of, how you made that other person feel or what you could have done differently. And then you got another life to sort it out if you want to do that. Okay. A lot of us are coming like, but I do feel the earth is ascending so much that it won't be as heavy. And there's a lot of us that are changing the vibration of the earth at the moment, so it's going to be different. If we want to come back, I feel it will be different for a lot of us.
Love it. So talk to us a little bit about what you were just saying about mother wound and cracking you open to spirit and how that works.
Yeah, because it's kind of what I'm passionate about, because I do feel like, you know, mother is the nurturer. She gives birth to us. She gives birth to the life within us. But it's almost like we carry them within her wounds and her pain. And I do feel a lot of people who are on the path to awakening with spirituality, it doesn't mean that your mother was abusive to you. It doesn't mean necessarily that kind of hardness, but it can mean that sometimes she didn't find her way and that you're meant to find your way. And it's like that with us, with not just with women generally, but when we give birth to new life, it's almost like this way of us creating. And spirit want us to create. They want us to create new things. They want us to build on, and that's how the mother energy works. But when you've gone through neglect or abuse, or you've lost your mum, I really feel like it does crack you open to that spiritual support that really naturally wants to come in for all of us. We all have a gift, ability, a talent to connect with spirit. Maybe not to do it for other people all the time, always, but I do actually feel we can have a complete connection with spirit ourselves and work with our own loved ones. But I really feel the mother wound enables us to do that sometimes. Doesn't mean you have to not get on with your mum, but it does feel like with the things I see in readings, and I know with people who are very in touch with their own spirituality, they're sometimes to do with what their mother couldn't do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Fascinating. You see that in a pattern with your clients?
100%, yeah. No, I mean, even with clients as well, it is that kind of, with the people who want to develop their gifts and their talents and their abilities, the loss of the mother, the loss of that foundation, then cracks us open and awakens us to connection with spirit. So oh my God, I'm seeing all weird things now, spirit, like the umbilical cord and things like that, like how we connect, and then we help us to connect with the cords and with the energy, working with spirit, and how that they can help heal those wounds or help work with us to transform.
Amazing. Now, I had a nose on your website, as I always do for everybody that I interview, and you've got an interesting thing on there about divine blueprints. So can you tell us a bit about those?
I have, because what happens is I can often see the threads or cords around people. Now, some people say, well, we create our future. And yeah, we totally do, because there are things that we can speed up with our own healing, our knowledge and understanding, but there's things we're meant to slow down. And it's almost like we can't run, but we're not meant to run before we can work before we can walk. Well, that's quite an interesting thing, actually, because that's the truth. Because it's almost like we have to do the next step, then the next step, then that builds the foundation, and then we can go on from that. So what I do is, it's like a connection it's like connect the dots here with a blueprint. It's almost like, well, if I learn that, if I get through this, then that opens up for me, or then I can connect that dot to that dot. That's how I see the blueprint for our future. I do feel like there are things that are predestined, and that comes through with the blueprint, because it's almost like, well, I'm meant to meet that person at that time, but if I've done that enough learning here or achieve that goal, it almost like gets all speeded up. But, I can't say enough. We are the creator of that. We can decide not to hit our blueprint targets, and it doesn't really change, but it will get held up until we're ready, and then everything else can come. But remember, the blueprint often is about other people, and and if they're not ready, then that can't happen at that time. But it doesn't mean that you won't then find other people or another life purpose or goal. So sometimes it's almost like dreams and goals and what we think we want, and then it's like that didn't manifest, that didn't happen, and then like 10 years later I'm there or that's suddenly out. So I even think, like with you, like the dream of this podcast probably was all there in your blueprint. It was all there in your system, but the timing for it had to be right, with everyone else being ready for it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love it. So you work with that, you see that. And do you think blueprints you think they're partly created here, but we come with some aspects of it pre-built, drawn, however you want to.
Soul contract. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. So if you were going to give any advice to somebody who's just starting their development with spirit, where would you advise them to start?
I would, because you will be, because spirit will get you in the place where you're really excited. And I love that. I love that when they've got that enthusiasm. It often comes from some sort of loss, though. It will come from losing a parent or some job loss, redundancy, something else that takes you into a place where you're in the unknown, you're in the void. You're like, what's going to happen now to me? And then spirit will come in and kind of like show you so many things. It's like you get download of. I love it though when I see people who get that. It's like, oh wow, do you know what happened to me today? That enthusiasm totally comes in, but it doesn't always come in so regularly. So people miss it or feel like it's gone away when it's not so so present. But they haven't gone away. It's just that they're, as I said before, they're helping you to learn on your own, or really get for that resilience, that strength, that inner determination to keep going. And then obviously they work with you to do that and to help you. But yeah, it's very much for me. Sorry, remind me of the question again.
I was asking what advice you would give for people starting their journey.
I was getting all carried away with their enthusiasm there at the
Yeah, I love it. Just carry on.
Like that about it. No, I do feel like it's important to watch other people, learn from their journeys, sort of understand where other people, like, be willing to make some mistakes, be willing to F up, be willing to be vulnerable, to say sometimes no, to find your own boundaries with working with spirit, to find the balance with turning off. And it's like a radio dial. I sometimes feels like switching up high or turning it back down. And if you're open all the time, you're going to get very drained. You're going to get very tired. So it's almost like finding the balance with the earthly life. Really, it's so important. Your earthly life and your direction will help you to work with spirit in a more productive way. So don't ever like close off opportunities to do earthly stuff with people, and don't keep yourself a hermit, which I've had knowledge of doing to heal. Sometimes with healing, we have to keep ourselves to ourselves until the time to come back out again, to reconnect, to make, because you will have changed in that time where you've done some deeper healing on yourself. So learn as much as you can, watch other mediums, find your excitement for you again, find your passion, find why you want to work with spirit and connect with them, and do it your own glimming way.
Amen to that.
We're not meant to be like each other. We're meant to be different. It kind of gets to me a little bit where like we have to follow one rule book, or there's one size fits all. It's not. For a lot of rebels, for a lot of indigo children, for a lot of people who are meant to create change now, it is about understanding generational karma, but then doing it our own way.
Completely agree. In fact, I think there's a massive movement and shift coming, because all of the people I'm interviewing on the podcast, it seems to be this recurring theme of, I do it differently. And also, I believe slightly different to what you believe, but that's okay, because that's how it's supposed to be too.
And then we can all, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Do you know what I mean? I'm showing like cooking. We need a bit of everything to make taste night, to make it be good, as I'm passionate.
Exactly. So we've talked about spiritual development. What advice would you give for somebody who's looking to heal and reconcile trauma in their life? Okay.
So, I mean, I don't want to discount conventional counselling or therapy, but it's so important to find the right person. Again, if you try and do that intuitively, just like you would pick someone to do a reading. Yes, it's a bit word of mouth, but it's also about finding, spirit will guide you towards people that you will keep seeing their name, or you can't stop thinking about someone, and they will be the person that can help you. But I do feel like as long as you're willing to, I mean, it's shadow work as well, and really going down to rise up, and really looking at patterns that are playing out in your life and seeing, why do I, for a lot of time, I kept meeting my mum. Again, even though she's still alive, or to a certain extent, it's almost like I kept meeting my mum in different ways, with the triggers and things that we'd gone through together. So it's almost like, yes, really be aware of your patterns, be aware of your triggers. Try not to point the finger, try to look within, try to see, like, I am creating this it's not my fault I'm creating this, but it's trying to mirror to me. It's really like a red light, a red flag, to really get our awareness to see where we still need healing, but also to not know there's anything really wrong with us. Like, it's like a lot of depression, anxiety is about beating ourselves up and being so hard on ourselves. And really, spirit and your loved ones in spirit don't want us to do that. They want us to release. It's a lot about releasing negativity and releasing our patterns, and not to carry it with us. It's not easy to do, because the earth vibration is well, it's speeding up now, but it was a lower density years ago. So that's why our parents, our family had a lower density in the earth plane than they did with spirit, but we're speeding up now. So we've got a faster way that we can transform. That's why I feel a lot of us are feeling day to day different. You know, day to day, you're like, shit, this is a heavy day today. Oh, next day I feel great. Oh, good.
Yeah.
The energy very quickly.
I love that. I love that. So you said something really interesting to me in our pre-chat that I just want to circle back to, which is about not needing to be fully healed to be able to do this work. And I thought it was amazing. So could you just talk to the listeners a bit about that, please?
Oh, I love that you've mentioned that. Yeah, no, 100%, because I feel like so many of us are just waiting and waiting for the green flag, or like, now I'm ready, now I'm healed, now I'm whole. We're not going to be. On an earth plane, it's always going to be lessons and life. I call it earth school, life school, where the next thing comes. But if you can have that vulnerability, that really connects you more with spirit, and again cracks you open, but then you learn to move through it quicker and easier. It's not going to be that something that knocks you off course for 6 months. You know, when you work with spirit and allow them to come in and guide you and help you, you don't feel like you get knocked. Yes, maybe for a day you're out, or yes, maybe for a few days you're out, but it's almost like you can get back on track quicker, and the healing and energy comes in. So yes, one day maybe if you are starting out, or and because your wounds will attract people who resonate with you, and who understand. As long as you understand yourself, as long as you're working on your own awareness, as long as you're doing your best to heal, your spirit will bring clients to you that may mirror stuff, but they also will see how you've now got the tools, the strength, the resilience to help other people. And it's not to give up on that, because I think a lot of us think like, oh, it didn't happen that day, or it wasn't on my game. And I will say no, and I will say, today's not the day, and I'm not the one. And it's almost like, well, I've had to acknowledge that, because by doing that, I'm much more open. I'm much more open to working with spirit. And I found by acknowledging my vulnerability and my weaknesses sometimes, I'm so much stronger for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know I was talking to you in the chat about, you know, when I was learning and everything just seemed sanitized. Every medium was like, only good vibes here. I'm not still angry about the past. I've forgiven that person. And I was just there like, well, there's something wrong with me then, because I'm not doing any of this right. And I think it's brilliant that more and more mediums like you are stepping up and owning the imperfections. Because
not easy to do it. I want to say it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. And it's almost like with every step you take, I mean, with every step, with every move, I'll be watching you in spirit. They're like guiding our progress and helping us in the way, so you'll feel supported if you just keep going. I feel like people may give up after a failure, or give up after something, a reading didn't go well, or you didn't get what you wanted. But it's another day, and you will feel different. And just like with anxiety or depression, there is that kind of fit, and there is a link with this too, but there's almost like there will be the good days, okay, and it's to make the most of them. But when you learn to work with spirit, and when you learn to understand, when you do your healing work on yourself, the good days do outweigh the bad. So that's what I find, and I'm like down, and then I'm back up again.
Yeah, more resilient.
Keep a good gal down, is what they say.
For sure. And there's nothing like the mediumship development journey to bring up all of your triggers, so you can have repeatedly. Never ends either, listeners. Don't wait to be done, because you'll be waiting forever, still working on stuff.
100%.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing so much lovely knowledge and your story with the listeners. It's been really great.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Good. I will put your website in the show notes for anyone who wants to find out more about learning with you or one-to-ones. I know you've got plans coming up for exciting stuff as well. So you're definitely one to watch. Thank you so much, Jannine.
Thank you.